Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Let's see if I can turn that fan down a bit and get rid of a little bit of that noise. And then let's check and see who we have on. So I will wait just a minute here, refresh my screen, and see what happens. As you can tell, we have some big news today, and that is kind of dirty there. I forgot to get that cleaned. Sorry about that. But there we go. We'll just kind of cover that up. And let's refresh and see if my Facebook recognizes my live. Okay, let's refresh again. Oh, there we are. Okay, we've got it. All right. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Cynthia. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. Got some big news today. So, first of all, let's start with the product of the month for July. This is called Begonia Bell. This just arrived today. I haven't done anything with it at all because I was too busy. And I'll get to it, but it's not going to be today. And so this is the stamp set that you can purchase for $5 with a $75 order here in the United States. And that must be after any discounts or not discounts, any coupons and or rewards that you may be using. So the amount in the cart afterwards must be $75. Okay, so you've got that Begonia Bell. It is a 12-piece photopolymer set. This is what we call distinctive, and it's going to give some great images. So I wanted to share that with you. Now let's put that completely out of the way because I have a lot of stuff today. So Stampin' Up! Announced that beginning August 11, or not August 11, July 11 through August 10. If you are a brand new Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can get 25% off your first kit. And that's on the pay as you go, not the prepaid. Oops. All right. Hello, Cher. I see you were watching from your business page. Well, hello, Cabin Creek. Hello, Laura. All right, so this will start on August 11th, and then you will get the August kit. That will be your first kit. And then you can suspend or do whatever you want after that. You could cancel, you can suspend, you can do whatever. Okay, so that is that. If you have any questions, of course, be sure to give me a call. And this is our big news. So starting Friday, you will be able to get the Stampin' Hot Foil system that demonstrators have been having to keep under wrap for the last couple of months. So we are going to do a very quick demonstration with this today. In fact, if we're not going to do anything, if I don't get going, I meant to have that pre-plugged in because that's going to take 7 minutes to warm up. Sorry, it does take electricity. So what I've done is I've plugged it in. This is a magnetic plug. And then it's just going to warm up. That will take 6 minutes. Sorry, I should have already had that warm and ready to go. But let's talk a little bit about the Stampin' Hot Foil system. And the letters here that you see written out are part of one of the hot foil dies, and that is called the Lux Alphabet and Numbers hot foil dies. In this, you get regular dies, which is how I cut out the black, and then you also get the hot foil dies. So with these, I hot foiled it with the gold foil on black, and then I cut it out with the regular dies. Okay, so that's how I did that, and I wanted you to see that alphabet and see how versatile that alphabet is. Okay, so that's our big news, and I'm just going to dump these here so I can use those for a project. And then on the back side of this, I have taken the Garden Silhouette hot foil die. It's just one great big die. These things will all be available to customers on Friday, this Friday, July 10th. So this is the hot foil die. And then we've got some pink foil. I did this on Blackberry Bliss with the pink foil. And that's how gorgeous that is. Now, really, all I need to do is cut that down to card front size, put a sentiment on there, and I have a beautiful card. Okay? Of course, hello, Jennifer. Of course, we'll see if that's all I do, because you know me, that's asking a lot. Okay, so now this die here, this happy birthday, uses the silver foil. We have gold, silver, and the pink. And I've done this on Lost Lagoon. And this particular set of dies is called the Classic Greetings Hot Foil Dies. Again, this is like the other set, the alphabet set. You get a set of hot foil dies with all these greetings. There's 5 greetings, and then you get the set of dies to cut them out so that you get this effect. Now, of course, you could just hot foil them and cut a rectangle or whatever, or use another type of die to cut around it. But you do have dies that will cut them out perfectly. Okay, so that is that one. And then this one, this is gold foil on Barely Blush two-tone cardstock. Stampin' Up! Recommends that you use a smooth cardstock for the foil. So that would be your basic white, willow white, or the two-tone cardstocks. Okay, so we've got that, and this is one set of, it's one die that does all of those butterflies at once. Okay, so this is the hot foil die, and I hot foiled that in the gold on the Barely Blush. And then I also did this on white with gold. And then there are, this is a bundle. So you have coordinating decorative masks. And that's how I colored my butterflies. And I used Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon, and Pool Party for those. And then I cut them out with the coordinating die. This piece right here that cut all of them at once. And so I've got these 5 beautiful butterflies. Okay, so when you're looking at your Stampin' Hot Foil packaging, give me 1 second, I want to get those masks back in. And so just so you'll know, I hot foiled, then I did the decorative masks coloring, and then I cut them. Okay, so on the packaging of all these hot foil dies, what hot foils will be in gold and what die cuts regularly will be in the black. Okay, gold is hot foil, black is a regular die cut. Okay, so we've got that. Now we have to be getting close to ready here. So this is all these pieces. I'm going to set these aside because, like I said, I want to show you a little bit on the hot foiling. So I need to get all these things out of my way because I have limited space. Let's see. While I'm waiting for a second longer, let me show you what I haven't shown you in the offering. So I got the Flourish and Frames hot foil dies. And again, as you can tell, all of these pieces in gold will hot foil. And then these are the ones that are going to be regular die cuts. This one I'm going to have to work with a little bit to see how it's going to work. And this is one of those that you've got, it comes in a bundle with a stamp set, but the stamp set really doesn't have anything to do with the dies. So if you didn't like the stamp set, you could easily unbundle and just get the hot foil dies. Or just get the stamp set if that's all you're interested in. Either way, that will work. Then we've got Echoes of Detail. This is another bundle that you can purchase either piece or both in the bundle and save 10%. So we've got this cool little background set. And then these are the hot foil dies that go with it. And there's just 3 dies in here. So they just hot foil. There's no coordinating dies to cut anything out. Okay, so that is that. And that is pretty much what I have other than what we are going to use today, which is where I put it. I thought I had it right here in my basket. Oh my goodness. That's great. Oh, no, that's not it. What did I do with it? Oh no. Oh, it's right here in front of me, waiting with all the pieces. I knew I was going to do that too. Tracy, the color possibilities with those butterflies is completely endless, and I can't wait to try out some other color combinations. Okay, I don't know if you just heard that, but my machine just beeped, which means it's ready. So let's get this. The machine comes with this silicone mat. It comes with the hot foil machine. It comes with this silicone mat, which is for your hot dies afterwards. And then we have a hot foil shim, a hot foil spacer, and then we get this cool little magnetic tool along with the cords to make this work. So we're going to use the Sweetly Sentimental hot foil dies. And I've already got things cut and ready to go so that I could do this fairly quickly. So this is what we're going to cut, or what we're going to foil. So I'm going to put this hot foil die on my machine like so. I just want to be able to see my things. Then I'm going to press my button because as you can see, that's blinking. It takes about 6 minutes to warm this machine up from cold. And then this will only take a minute or two. Stampin' Up! Is saying that you really do need the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. They have not tested this with any other machine, and so if you use it with a machine other than the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it may void your warranty. Okay? So once this gets ready, I wanted to do this part first so then I can just focus on the whole card after this. So we'll just wait here a second or two. When we get this all ready, it's going to beep again. And then this light will go green. And then we'll be able to run everything through. And just so you know, I have my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine off to the right here because nobody has said whether this will work in the mini. Maybe I should try that. Because this would fit through my mini easy. I don't know if there would be enough pressure, But you know what? We're going to give it a try. I'm going to tell you. Because you know me, I'm going to be honest with you straight up. Oh, no, you can't put it through the mini. What am I saying? This machine won't fit in the mini. You got to put the whole machine through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Duh. Okay. So now I'm going to take my Lost Lagoon. I've put my foil shiny side down. I'm going to put my Lost Lagoon two-tone cardstock on. And then I'm going to place my shim on. Tracy, I didn't miss anything, did I? I'm going to place my shim on. And my hot foil spacer. Now everything is green and ready to go, unless I miss something. Then I'm just going to unplug this. I'm going to take this whole sandwich to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Let's try this. Let's just bring it in. Okay. And then I'm going to slowly, very slowly, run this through my machine. Okay. Just to make sure it gets done. Do not roll this backwards or put it through a second time. Ask me how I know. Just don't do it. Okay, so then let's get our machine again. Put that back down to protect my surface. I'll remove my plates, and typically I find that this is what happens when you pick it up. The foil comes with it. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to set these over here, and then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to press this button and release my die. Now we're done with that. We can let that cool off, and I don't need this anymore either. Now, if you were going to hot foil, you would want to plug this, or if you were going to do more hot foiling, you would want to plug this in right away so that you could keep going and it wouldn't take the full 6 minutes to keep heating up. Okay, so now here's where we get the reveal. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to pull this back, and now you can see that I have all that foil on there, right? Now I'm going to save this piece because when you purchase this machine by January 4th, Stampin' Up! Is going to give you the craft or the metallic magic craft class for free, which is a $30 value. Now at this point, I can use my mini. We're going to bring that in, and I'm going to take the other die off that sheet, and we'll set our mini up. And Stampin' Up! Put these two pieces of foil here, and there's openings on your die so that you can easily line this up. Okay, those are your register marks, if you will. So set that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of washi tape on there just so that doesn't move on me. And then I'll put this on my regular sandwich, plate 1, plate 2, and another plate 2 just for regular die cutting. And with the big machine, of course, you would use plate 1, plate 2, and then 2 plate 3s. Okay, so now we've got that. And now I can lift this off, take off my washi tape, Save that for another time. Put those away so it doesn't get lost. And now I have all of these sentiments that are foiled and die cut, ready to go for whatever projects I need them for. Now for tonight, we're going to be using the happy birthday up here at the top. This is the one I want. So this is the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to set that aside up here and hope it doesn't get lost. I'll put these over here. Actually, I'm just going to stuff that whole plate inside my pocket so I know right where everything is. And let's get started on our yeah, sometimes I'm just like a little space cadet. Trace? Okay, so let's start with the rest of our project now because you've had your, I did just a quick little demo, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. And now let's start our actual project. So here are, I've got a lot of stamp pads for tonight. So we're going to use, let me get these. First of all, basic beige, crisp cantaloupe, and petal pink. Those are going to be a combination, and those are basically going to be used for the inside of our card and for the envelope. So you could do without them if you didn't want to do your envelope or the inside of your card. And then we're going to use, I don't need Pretty Peacock, that was for the other combo. We're going to use Lost Lagoon, Coastal Cabana, and Pool Party, and a little bit of crumb cake. All right. We're using Birthday Song. This is a stamp set that came out on July 1st with the online exclusives, and we're going to be using this walrus set right here. And then we're going to be combining the Birthday Song with the Rolling Waves bundle. And for the most part, we'll be using the dies, but we'll be using the stamps, these three, for the inside and the envelope. Okay, and of course, if you don't have a hot foil machine, you don't want a hot foil, you could use this Happy Birthday if you wanted. We will also be using Hoping Your Day is Perfect on the inside. Okay, so, unless I stamped the inside wrong already, which I could have done, because I was working late last night, trying to get a bunch of these cards done. Okay, so I've pre-done some things just to save us some time. So I've already stamped and colored my little walruses, and I needed these to be at the top. So I used my stamp positioning tool to get those right where I wanted, okay? And to make sure that I didn't miss any of the tails. I had a tendency not to stamp this portion over here, and I missed the little birdie heads occasionally. Okay, so then we've got a piece of basic beige. This is cut at 4 1/8 by approximately 3 inches. And then I have taken this die from the Rolling Waves, and I've placed that on my cardstock and run that through my die cut machine. Okay, then we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you how I did that. This is my envelope. I guess I didn't do my inside, so we will be doing that. Okay, so here's my envelope, and this is where I was telling you you need the basic beige, crisp cantaloupe, and petal pink ink. Okay, so we've got that, and that's already done. And then let's grab a piece of white. I'm going to show you how I did this here. And then we're going to do some cutting on this. Okay. And I should have a piece of white here that I have done. Yes, right here. I also took a piece of basic white. And again, this is 4 1/8. This is about 2 3/4. And I cut this again. And what I did with this is when I went to cut this, I set this down below and tried to line that up as best I could, just so that those pieces would mostly line up, because the idea is that we're going to put these kind of like that. Okay, so we've got that done. Now, for this, let's set these things aside. Let's see. Nope, that's still a little on the warm side, so let's put that over there. Grab a piece of 4 1/4, or no, yeah, I want 4 1/4 because I want to be able to cut it down if I don't get it right. I think I've got a piece right here that will mostly work. Okay. The ultimate size is 5 1/8 by 5 3/8. So this is a little over 5 1/2. That'll be good. We're good there. And actually, we won't need all of this anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to cut this at 4 1/4. So it's a standard quarter sheet of cardstock. All right. Then we're going to bring in a very large mask. Okay. So I am using the water and dotted lines mask, and these are 12 by 12. And actually the inside dimension is 12 by 12, not the outside dimension. So I'm going to put this down on my paper, however, okay. And then I'm going to start with some Lost Lagoon. And because I don't need this whole sheet, I can make 2 cards out of this one piece if I do this strategically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up some Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to start at the bottom. Okay, got that. And then I'm going to put some more Lost Lagoon right at the top here. Okay, got that. Happy with that. And then I'm going to move to Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to get a different brush. And it looks like I'm missing one of my brushes here. Okay, so then I'm going to use the Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to go in here. And I am going to overlap some with the Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to repeat that on this side. Okay. And trust me, you're going to want 2 of these cards because they're stinking adorable. And you can easily do like I did, make one occasion and one another occasion. So now we need pool party, and I need to find, well, usually I use this. Okay, so let me clean this off a bit, because usually I use Coastal Cabana and pool party together. So I'm just going to give this a clean on a microfiber. And if I want to get more off, what I do is I take my chamois cloth here, and I'll just rub that on my chamois cloth, and then rub it on my microfiber cloth again. And that's going to get any of that darker ink off the top. and allow me to go right into the lighter pool party and have what I need. And because I'm doing it the way I am, my brush does not really get wet. Okay, so now I've got my pool party ink, and now I'm just going to go right through the middle here. And of course, you can do more than one of these at a time. You could actually put an 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper in here, do the whole thing, and then just cut into quarter sheets, and you would be fine. Whoa. Okay, tell those to behave. Okay, oops. Now, that left a lot of white. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch this over just a bit, and we're going to repeat that process again. Okay? So this time I've already got my Coastal Cabana ready to go, or my pool party. So I'm just going to take my pool party and go right through the center there. And that's just going to fill in and cover up some of that white and give me a little more depth in my water. Okay, so now I've got my pool party. Let's move to Coastal Cabana. I'm using the same brush. I'm going to try to go around where I went with the Coastal Cabana before. Okay, so I've got that. And then I'm going to go back to the Lost Lagoon. Okay. And then we'll finish this off. Okay. So we've got that. And as you can tell, even doing this a second time still does not take that long. All right, so we've got that. Now my piece is ready to go. So let's remove these. And I will just wipe this later with a chamois cloth or run it through my sink. But this is the piece that I now have. Okay. Keep in mind when you are ink blending and you're looking through a mask that your ink is usually darker than it looks. Okay, so let's take our chamois that came with our glass mat and let's clean that while we're at it. I can get rid of that spot. This cleans up everything right off your glass mat. So we've got that. Now what am I going to do with this? That's what you want to know. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take my dies, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this die here. I'm going to put this along the bottom like so. I want to kind of get some of this Coastal Cabana. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try and line that up as best I can with one edge, because this is wider than this and I can cut that off. Okay, so that looks good to me. I'm going to put this down and I'm going to tape it so it doesn't move. At the same time, I'm going to take this second piece and I'm going to move this up a bit like so. Again, trying to line these up. Hang on, I got a pokey in there that needs to come out. I'll line that up as best I can right there, like so. I'm going to tape that down. And then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay. So with the regular one, you need platform 1, 2, Oops, that moved. Plate number 3, your paper die, and another plate number 3. Okay? And then we're going to run that through, and I'm going to die cut that out. Okay, now what that's going to do is that's actually going to give me 3 pieces for my card, all in one roll through the machine. Okay, so we've got this, and we'll remove that, and I'll use my die brush and get out all that little stuff that I can. And if you find that this way doesn't work, then go this way, and usually all that stuff will just pop right out. Okay, now my plates are a little bit warped, and I should run that through twice. In fact, I will, because that isn't coming out all the way. So I'm going to run this piece back through. It hasn't come out, so I can do that easily. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and run this one at the same time, just to be safe. So let me grab those plates again, and I'm just going to run that through a second time, just to make my life easier. I really should get a new bottom plate again, but you know, it's still working, so I'm still using it. All right, so that should go ahead and cut everything out nicely, the rest of it. This is all garbage. This piece that cut off the bottom, we're going to keep and use that on the inside. That's why I said you get 3 pieces for your card all at once. I don't need that piece. And I've got this piece. Okay, so again, I'm just going to roll that through. Try and get all those little dots out. Okay. And then we'll get that out of there. Okay. We'll get all these little pieces out of the way. And now I still have this piece to make another card. Okay. That's why I said you could get 2 if you're careful. Okay, so we've got all these pieces. Let's go ahead and take our pokey tool here and pop these out. And I find for the most part, I don't have to poke too much out of my dies. So now I've got this piece. I've got my inside piece. And and this piece is still in the die. I was like, wait a minute, where'd that piece go? And now I have that piece. Okay, so let's move these out of the way because I think we're done with the dies at this point. And let's bring back in our basic beige and our white. Okay, so we've got this, and actually I'm going to use this one. I've got a couple cut. We're going to do this. All right, so I'm going to start with the basic beige. I'm going to take some crumb cake ink. I'm going to take my ink blending, my blending brush, and I'm going to blend just some ink on here. This is going to become my sand. And I wanted to use the basic beige because I didn't want my sand to be too dark. Okay, so I've got that. Now, I'm going to come in here now, and I'm going to also take this piece that I've already stamped and colored. I'm going to take my crumb cake again, and I'm going to go along here, and I'm going to put some crumb cake down here. And then what did I do with my mask? Oh, please don't make me cut another one. I had one all cut and ready to go. What did I do with it? In all of this stuff. Okay, let me see if I stuck it to the envelope or something. So I just want to do this. If I have to, I'll make another mask. It's okay. Okay, where did I put that? Where's my envelope for my birthday song? Nope, not there. Okay, we'll make another mask. It's fine. Doesn't take that long. I was going to bring in a little post-it note. I'm going to bring in my stamp. And I'm going to stamp this up here. I'm going to put this right up here like so. Because that's where my thing's going to go. Doesn't matter what ink I use. So I'm going to go ahead and use what I've got out. And then I'm going to place this in here and give that a press. Okay? All right. Now I got that dirty, so now I have to be careful with it. Oh, actually, no, I don't, because with this new stamp positioner tool, it doesn't actually touch anything when you put it back down on your thing. So I forget that. That is a very nice, convenient thing. Okay, so I've got this, and I've got this, and now I've got my mask, which I left on the plate, which was silly me. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly, I didn't cut it all because I didn't need it all. So I'm just going to quickly cut this into a mask. And I actually have 2 post-it notes here, which gives it a little more stability, and it also gives me 2 masks all at the same time. So I'm just going to quickly cut that, and I will cut right on the line, or maybe a little bit inside, and by doing that I won't get a halo. Okay, so we're just cutting that mask. Doesn't take very long. Of course, you can use, Stampin' Up! Does have masking paper, and you could use that. That just wasn't as convenient for me to grab. It does work really good, or really well, I guess, if we want to use some proper grammar. But why would we want to do that? Okay, so now we've got this, and I didn't need the whole mask for this, just partial. Okay, so I've got this now, and this is going to be my mask, and I'm not going to use both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the top one, and I'm going to gently pull that up so my birdies don't fall off or get ripped off. Okay, I'll set this one aside on the stamp case so that I have it for another time. And then we're going to take this one and put it down correctly so that it lines up right. And we're just going to mask this off like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take that crumb cake blending brush, and I'm just going to go in here a bit just to put a little bit of crumb cake in there. Okay, now I've got all that. Now I'm going to come behind here with my pool party. And again, I'm going to wipe this off a bit because I don't want this to be, I want it to be more pool party than Costa Cabana. Okay, so see how I've taken a lot of that ink off? And then I'll take my pool party and I'll go back here and I'll ink this up with a sky. Okay, so there we go. That piece is now ready. So we have this piece, and we have this piece, and we have this piece, along with our die cuts. Okay, let's put this over here. So first of all, what we're going to do with this white piece here is we're going to put a little bit of inking on it. So I'm just going to take my Lost Lagoon, and really I'm just going to use what's already on the brush. I just want it to be light down here. And then because I took most of the Coastal Cabana off of this one, I'm going to go back with this one, put a little bit more on, and just throw in some Coastal Cabana here. Okay, just so this piece is not white, because you would not have a big white spot in your ocean. Okay, so I've got that. Now we're going to take these pieces that we cut, and we're going to flip these over. And you could have cut this with some adhesive sheets on the back, but I did not. Let's see if these two pieces want to poke out. If they do, fine, and if they don't, that's fine too. Okay, so we've got those. I'm going to flip this one over too at the same time, and we're going to put some ink or some, remember, it's tumble glue, dot, 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 not a lot, and it will all hold. So I'm just going to put in these larger areas a little bit of liquid glue. Literally just dotting. I'm not squeezing hard because I don't want a bunch of glue. Okay, so now I can take this piece and I can flip this over, and I'm going to add this to here. And remember, these pieces were cut wider than my underside, and so you can see how I can line that up then over here and have that work over here. Okay, now so that this doesn't get too thick all at once, I'm going to go ahead and trim that off right now, and then I don't have to worry about it being too thick and too hard to trim. Okay, so I've got that. Now we'll go back and we'll dot, dot, dot here. Okay, and then we're going to take this piece and we'll do the same thing. We're going to lay it at the top here. I'm going to flip that over. It's okay if it gets all over my glass mat. I'll just wipe it off. So I'm going to line that up as best I can. And because I did this piece wider, then I've got room on both sides to be able to line that up. All right, so I've got that. And then I'll cut. I had just a smidgen over here. So I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm going to trim this off. All right, now I have this piece. Okay, it's almost time to add this piece to here, but we need to do a couple of other things, like we need to stamp on these two pieces before we add the rest. All right, so we're going to take this piece and we're going to take some crumb cake ink, and I'm going to get some scrap paper, And I'm going to ink this up and stamp off. And then I'm going to stamp on. Well, maybe I'm not. That just isn't coming out. Okay, we're going to go with full strength. And I'm going to flip that up. I'm going to go up. Keep flipping it around. I want to go up into the top of that. Put that there. Some of this will probably get covered, but because I don't know for sure what's going to be covered, I want to make sure that I'm good however I do it. Okay, so I've got that piece. Now I don't want to get that all over my white, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in this piece, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I am going to stamp off because I really do not want this to be dark, and I want this to kind of look like it's wrapping around these seals or walrus or whatever they are. Okay, and we've got that. Okay, so that should be good. And we can move all of this, and now we can start adding things on. Okay, so the first piece I'm going to add is this one, and I'm going to place this. Now I'm not worried that it doesn't cover down here, but I can move it down so that I've got that much if I want it, which I do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to add this to my focal piece. And I cut these the same size, so I do need to line these up. So that I don't have any white showing. Okay, so I've got that now. Now we need to add this piece. And this piece is actually going to be too long, as you can tell. I want more sand in there. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take and I'm going to look at that. I'm going to say I need to cut 1/4 of an inch off. So I'm going to put this in and I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch. And then I can add this piece to my focal image. I'm going to add this in just like that. Make sure that everything matches up. I don't want any basic beige showing over there or at the bottom. Okay, so now I want to ensure that this stays together. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to give that a good press with my bone folder just to make sure that everything adheres well. Okay, and now if you have a little bit of stickiness from your thing, just take your embossing buddy and run over the top of that. And there we go. Okay, now I don't have any more stickiness. I'm good. Okay, this is ready for our card base, which of course, it looks like I didn't cut. That's okay. We are going to grab a piece of Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to make a card base real fast. If the Lost Lagoon cardstock will get out of its spot, stop being silly. You think that's fancy? Okay, so now we're going to cut this. I'll cut this at 5.5. And if you're going to make 2 cards, you might as well do this. I'll score it at 4 1/4. I've got an 8.5 by 11. I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2. So this is how you can make 2 cards with just 1 score. Now I've got 2 card bases ready to go. Okay, already pre-scored and ready for me. So now I'm just going to take my card base, give that a good bone fold, and then we can add this to our card front. This is almost done. Okay, and again, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to take, and I'm going to give that a good press just so that that all adheres like I want it to. Now we're going to take that happy birthday that we foiled, and we're going to put this down here like so. And I think I'll pop that up. And I really wanted something that was small and didn't really take away from my scene. I spent all that time making my scene, so I really don't want to detract from what I've done. So this is pretty thin. I don't know if this will fit a mini. I'm going to find out here in just a second. Oh, strategically, if you just put that on with the flat sides, top and bottom, not with the pointy part. Got to make sure flat side is good. Top and bottom, it'll just fit. Okay, so there you've got that. So now we'll take the backings off. Stampin' Up! Is pretty good about making those things work out for us. Okay, so then I'm just going to put that at the bottom. And then to finish this off in the front, we're going to take the Pearls of Beauty. I love these for this especially. They work so nicely. I'm going to use the crumb cake. But before I do that, I'm going to take my Lost Lagoon Stampin' Blend, which should be right here and is. I'm going to take my Lost Lagoon Stampin' Blend. I'm using the light, but you could use whatever. And I'm going to take one of these smaller white ones, and I'm going to color it Lost Lagoon. If it'll stay in place and not move on me. Okay, be a stinker. I'll do this one. I'll do this guy. He wants to stay. All right. So now I've got a Lost Lagoon pearl. I'll take my crumb cake and I'll put one down here so it kind of looks like it's a rock in the sand. And then I'm going to take a smaller one and I'm going to put it up here. And then I'm going to take that Lost Lagoon one and put it down here like so. Okay, so I've got 3. And there is the front of my card. Oh, you guys, I'm so glad you like that. I was very happy with how this turned out. Now let's do the inside really quickly because I did not do that ahead of time, it appears. So we're going to do, what did I do with that piece that I had ready to go? Oh, it's right here. Okay, so with this then, I'm going to take this one. And again, I'm going to take my crumb cake I'm going to try to use what's already there because I don't need a lot. There we go. I'm going to go back with this sand feature. But before I do anything, I'm going to take a look at this piece because I'm going to add this piece on here. So I'm going to need to come up just a little bit more on this side. Okay. And then again, I'm going to take this, stamp off. And some of this will probably get covered, but I'd rather it get covered than not have enough. Okay. All right. So we've got that. Now, so I don't get that everywhere, let's give that a quick little wipe. And here is where my petal pink and basic beige and crisp cantaloupe come in. So I'm going to take the basic beige and I'm going to take this 2 clamshells and I'm going to ink up in the corner just the littlest one. And then I'm going to put this here. I think I'm going to actually put this like this. So I'll put that kind of like that. And then I'm going to put a little clamshell there. And then I'll get my crisp cantaloupe. And I'm going to take the trio of starfish and I'm going to use the smallest starfish and I'm just going to ink right there on the edge. And I'll put that up here like so. And then we'll take petal pink and we'll get this little seashell. And these are all from the Rolling Waves bundle that we used for the dies. And I think I'll put this, I'm going to put this kind of over here. No, 1, 2, no, put it over there. 1, 2, 3. I'm good. Okay, so we've got that now. And then we'll just add this. To our card. And I probably should have stamped my inside sentiment first, because that would have been the smart thing to do, right? Oop, get down here. No, come on, come on. Right there along the bottom, just like that works for me. Okay. Then we'll give this a little snip. And this a little snip. Okay. And then we'll take our Hoping Your Day is Perfect. We'll get the Lost Lagoon. And we'll ink that up. And if I don't get it straight, I'll fix it later by covering it up with a piece of cardstock. But there we are. Okay, so now this is ready for the inside of our card. Oh no, don't you crawl over here, little Miss Summer Kitty. Okay, so there is your little hot foil lesson along with the birthday song and rolling waves together. And that is what I have for you this evening. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I'm glad you liked that. Oh, and Tracy gave me an idea to turn this also into an anniversary card. So what I did to do this is I took the happy anniversary from Phrases and Frames, which is in the new the new catalog. And then this little heart, I took a piece of basic white and my strawberry slush marker, scribbled on it, and then used a die from the Extraordinary Life, which I already put away way over there. Let me hang on just one second. I'll show you right here. I got it right. Nope, that's the stamp set. Hang on. It's actually this die right here. And when you cut that out, it cuts out this little teeny tiny heart. So I just took a piece of basic white, did strawberry slush, put this in that little section. I didn't even cut the whole thing, just enough to get the heart, and glued that on there. Okay, and now I have this wonderful anniversary card. And this is also from Frames and Phrases. Okay, so 2 ideas for you using the birthday song stamp set and the rolling waves together. And that's what we get. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. I had a wonderful time, and I hope that you're as excited about the hot foil machine coming as I am. Now, Stampin' Up! Has told us that there is limited supply, and if customers love it as much as demonstrators did, they will sell out quickly. They have already reordered, but what you need to know most importantly is that the machine itself takes a lot longer to manufacture than our other products. So it's anticipated that once this sells out, it will not be available again until late in the year. And the other hot foil products will be refurbished in a regular amount of time. So if you get nothing else, be sure to jump on this so that you have it. Okay? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. I will be back live on Thursday. Hopefully YouTube. If I'm not there, I'll send out something saying that I'm still having technical difficulties, and I'll be on Facebook. But I'll be back on Thursday night at 7 somewhere. See you soon. Good night.